This is due to Bet Sports.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Day. It is Thursday at the Racing Edge YouTube channel. We got 4 shows coming at you today. 3 of them coming on 10, 11, and 12 Central. So 3 back-to-back here. Should be a lot of fun. All right, Papa Dude, we're going to do a little Super Bowl recap, and then we're going to look at the Risen Star. What do you think? The Super Bowl was a terrible game until the last. I would describe it.
I think it was going down there for a while. It's one of the worst, boringest games I've seen in a long time.
Yep.
And then it turned into a classic, I guess you would say. The second half was pretty good. And anytime a game goes into overtime, it's a good one, especially when it's one of that magnitude. And luckily for me, it went exactly like I thought it was going to do.
Yeah, both of us kind of thought, hey, if it gets close, Mahomes will make the plays. Purdy won't be able to quite put the game away. That's kind of what happened in this game. There are a few things we'll get into, but when you get right down to it, that's kind of the basics of what happened. The Niners had a chance a couple times to kind of step on the throat, and they just couldn't quite do it.
When you play the Chiefs, you can't settle for field goals. You have to score touchdowns, and you've got to finish off drives. When you play them, you have to get if you can, you have to get ahead of them by 2 scores. You just have to. You have to stay ahead of Mahomes. The Niners had their chance. They could have run the clock out and kicked a field goal to win the game, and they didn't. And that was the cruncher. They had to get a first down. What were they on, about the 25 or so?
Yeah.
The cheat, and there were 2 minutes to go, something like maybe a minute 53, something like that. It was right around the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
And it was 3rd down and 5. I texted you and I said they have to make a first down here.
Yeah.
The Chiefs only had 2 timeouts. They could have run the clock pretty much down to nothing. Kicked the field goal and beat them. They didn't do it. And they had to kick the field goal, and they gave Mahomes too much time to go down and tie it and then send it into overtime.
I was watching with a few people that aren't really they know football, but they don't really watch it. And when the Niners kicked the field goal, I said, this game is over. And they looked at me like, you really think the Niners are going to win? I was like, no, this game's completely over.
Yes.
There's one of 2 things going to happen. The Chiefs are going to win in regulation, or they're going to kick a field goal and win in overtime. Their advantage in overtime was huge. We'll get to what happened in overtime in just a second. But even if the Niners don't screw it up with the coin toss or accepting the ball first, the advantage the Chiefs had in overtime was massive, in my opinion. I think you said it right. You can take all the stuff that happened in the game. The fumbled punt was just huge. There were other things that were big. But after all is said and done, it's 16-16. The Niners need to make 1 first down. They can run out the clock and probably kick a field goal with no time left on the clock.
Yep.
They couldn't do it. They had their perfect chance. That was it. And from that moment on, you just never thought they were going to win. Okay, let's get to the overtime. It's unacceptable that a team doesn't know the rules of overtime. I mean, I've heard Chiefs players talk about it. It's like we talked about that in like training camp, that the overtime rules have changed. Like we had a whole strategy. We were ready for overtime, because the rule changed because of the Chiefs, basically, because of Mahomes winning the toss and never getting the ball, or the other team never getting the ball. Mm-hmm. So they were prepared. I don't know how you can be in the NFL and not know the rules of overtime in the Super Bowl / playoffs. I mean, that's embarrassing.
Has it been proven that the coaches didn't know?
Yeah, I think clearly they didn't know, because when you win that toss, you do not take the ball under the new overtime rules. It's really that simple. And I think it's clear they didn't know. And the guy out there taking the coin toss certainly didn't know.
No.
And if you notice, I went back and watched it. He said, yeah, we'll take the ball. And the referee goes, are you sure? And the guy goes, yeah, we'll take it.
That's a dead giveaway right there.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah,
have it.
and I know the rules have been changed, and they should have been. I mean, that rule change was a good one because used to whoever scored first, well, you win the toss, go down and score. The other team doesn't even have a chance, and you let the game just be decided by a coin toss, which is ridiculous. So the rules were changed for the right reasons. And yeah, when you look at it, it was really, really a dumb move because Romo pointed out better than anything, you're going to give Mahomes 4 downs.
Yep.
You can't give Mahomes 3 downs and get away with it very much in a game situation like that. Now you're going to give him an extra one. You got to stop the Chiefs 4 times. It's impossible. It's almost impossible. Several comments on here that I agree with you somewhat. One of them, somebody mentioned the punt. You know, you got to have some luck sometimes. And that was a lucky break for the Chiefs. It barely hit the guy's foot, the back of his foot. 1 inch either way, it wouldn't have hit him. The receiver was trying to get everybody away from the ball. He wasn't going to catch the ball. He was trying to get everybody away. The guy in front of him was blocking, barely hit him. A lot of people say, well, he should have just fell on the ball. Okay, he panicked. A lot of people would have panicked. He didn't know that ball was going to hit that guy's foot. He just kind of reacted. He knew he had to go get the ball, but that's just luck. That is a lucky break that happened for the Chiefs, and you got to have luck. Another Shotty said, well, that next extra point was huge. Yes, it was. It was because the Chiefs knew all they needed was a field goal to tie the game. But if they needed a touchdown, they would have called plays.
Thank you.
A little bit different.
They would have gotten it.
Yeah, they would have. Their whole strategy would have. Their play calling would have been different, knowing that they had to score a touchdown. Now, but you're right, Shotty. That was a huge miss, no doubt about it.
It changed the game, but it probably didn't change the outcome.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And then Curtis brought up something. Yeah, they had the better quarterback. Okay, you're right. There's no doubt. There's no arguing that.
No.
But if you're going to blame Brock Purdy for losing this game, you better think again because he did what he was supposed to do. Guys, Kansas City's defense doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
They are really, really good. They won this Super Bowl. They won the playoff games and everything else. Their defense was the key to their season this year.
Absolutely. And yeah, look, Purdy is who he is. I kind of said on the Discord because Curtis was kind of all over him. I said, look, he is who he is. I mean, you can't tell me you went into that game thinking it was going to be something different than what he did. He played probably better than people thought. I don't think he wilted under the pressure. I don't think he's good enough to beat Mahomes. And that's just where it is. You know, I mean, that's just how it is. It's you look at Brock Purdy and what he did, and then you look at Lamar Jackson and what he did, and who would you rather have?
Exactly.
I mean, he played better than Tua played against the Chiefs. You know, I mean, he's an average NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it's like, yeah, he could have made a couple plays to beat him, but that's not who he is, and he's never going to be that.
Well, I think you also have to question the play calling. Some of them they didn't get the ball to McCaffrey like I thought they would.
It was very odd when they were ahead double digits. They didn't get the ball to McCaffrey more. I just couldn't understand that because again, Purdy's just that like a guy that played a pretty good game for him. And really, he probably should have won the Super Bowl. There were so many gaffes in that game.
No question about it.
And most of them are by the 49ers. And that shows you how much better the team probably is than Kansas City.
Yeah.
But
you can't blame him for losing this game.
Yeah.
The lucky break with the punt. What does he have to do with that? absolutely nothing.
He did
He's
exactly. Purdy did exactly what his role is with that team, probably better than he had the first 2 games of the playoffs. That's kind of how I would say it.
He had nothing to do with the decision to kick for them to take the ball first. He had nothing to do with that. Okay, and you're all sitting here saying that was the key to the game. So what did Brock Purdy have to do with that? Nothing.
Yeah, so I want to jump in on analytics say to take it. This is why it's crazy, because you have to know the situation, right? If you are playing Brock Purdy, maybe you take it first and put a lot of pressure on him to go match you. When you are playing Mahomes, you have to look at it realistically and go, okay, how do we win this game in overtime? We're probably going to have to, they're going to score, so let them do it. We're probably going to have to go down and score and go for 2 and try to win. Right? I mean, that's probably the most realistic path to where this thing was leading. And it also, like Romo said, and I'll give him credit on it, if Kansas City gets a 4th and 5, say at the 20-yard line, they'll probably kick it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Where if it's 22-19, they're probably not going to kick it. They're probably going to go for it. So
they have to go for it.
And that's the thing. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody tells you. It was a huge mistake.
It was
to take that ball. Huge.
It didn't matter.
I've been watching experts on VSiN all week trying to defend it, and it's like, guys, you're making shit up. Like, this was a terrible decision. In the end, it probably still didn't cost them the game. I still don't think they would have won, but it hurt them.
The only defense I have for it is if he thought his defense was too tired because they just came off the field and they wouldn't be able to stop it. It doesn't make any difference. You got.
I don't buy that at all.
Probably not.
No.
But listen, once they kicked that field goal, once the Niners took the lead, it didn't matter if it was 4th and 37 from the Kansas City 1-yard line. They were going to go for it on 4th down every time. They had no choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the other thing. In college football, win in overtime, and these rules are almost identical now in the pros. Each team gets the ball once, and whoever's ahead after that first possession wins the game. If it's still tied, you go to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, what do?
Everybody plays defense.
Everybody plays defense first, and the reason you do is because then when you get the ball, you know what you have to do. You know what you have to do.
The biggest thing to not just stop with the arguing. You got Travis Kelce out there the next day going, when they took the ball, we were like, oh my God, this is it. We're going to win this game. This is great, boys. And he went over he said, I just went over all the defensive guy and said, just hold them to 3. That's all you got to do. We're winning. Just hold them to 3. Shotty mentioned earlier, like the look on Mahomes' face of like, holy shit, they took it. I can't believe they just took the ball.
Now we know what we need to do.
Some nerd sitting in a math class telling you it was the right decision, or the best quarterback and the best tight end in the NFL.
Here's all I'm going to say about analytics. Okay? The only reason the 49ers are in the damn Super Bowl is because of your stupid analytics.
That's right.
And the Detroit Lion coach going with the analytics and blowing the damn ball game.
Yep.
Okay, that's
pretty much.
1. And number 2, you went with your analytics, and who won the Super Bowl? The team that didn't. So you could take your analytics and stick it up your ass because that's just the way it is.
Pretty much.
You got all the time.
And again, that's my whole thing has been, you can't have, if we're just going to be robotic, let's just replace the NFL head coaches with robots and go from there. Right. I mean,
here's another thing. I don't even want to get into this much, but Patrick thinks the game was fixed.
Oh, don't even acknowledge that. Now, he said 3 weeks ago the game was fixed and the 49ers would win because the NFL's fixed.
Well, here's the thing. How many people have to be in on this fix in order for the game to be fixed? And you think in this day and age, people are going to keep their mouths shut?
Yeah. So another thing, and JL's coming here. The decision to take the ball was not as bad as the decision to kick a field goal 4th and 4 from the 9. So if you've listened to the show all year, I've said, hey, in the NFL, most like you got to take points. You got to take the points.
Mhm.
But again, this is a situation where you have to know the flip side of what's going to happen. And I mean, it's 4th down and 4 from the 9. If you kick the field goal, Mahomes is going to beat you. I mean, I'm kind of with JL. I was surprised they didn't go for it there.
When's that now?
4th and 4 from the 9 in overtime. San Francisco kicks the field goal instead of going for it.
The only thing was they had to have points. They felt like they had to get some points, but you're right. You're right. If they don't make it, the Chiefs start on the 4-yard line. It's
just not the play when you have to defend that guy.
That's right. And he's going to have 4 downs.
I used to say this when Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma, and it'd get late in games and he wouldn't go for it and they'd kick it back to the opposing team. And I'd always say, yeah, that's the right call 99% of the time.
Yeah.
But when you have a defense that cannot stop anybody, it is absolutely not the right call. You got to know your team and you got to know the team you're playing. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the best way I could describe it.
I will say this. If the 49ers coaching staff did not know the rules of overtime in a Super Bowl, they should have, every one of them, been fired on the spot. You got 9,000 guys over there on that sideline. They're running around everywhere.
It's baffling.
None of them, I just can't believe that.
It's baffling. Now I've heard reports Shanahan knew it, but didn't tell the players. That was assistants or what? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what's true and what's not, and we won't really ever know. We just have to listen to what they tell us. But
I mean, you have to tell your captains. You have to say, guys, here's the deal. You win the toss, defer.
Yeah, and
it's not that hard.
I think one of the big things that kind of gets overlooked is Mahomes is fantastic, and the Chiefs are going nowhere without him, right? It is a kind of a match made in heaven with Andy Reid. Like,
oh yeah,
he's a really good offensive coach, but he's a really good coach. He's just
great
solid, and he's been solid for years. And
you know what makes him so great? He's just steady.
Yes,
he's steady. He doesn't get flustered.
No.
He's just a steady guy. The players know what they can do with him. He understands them. He's like their grandpa, but at the same time, he's not.
Yeah.
They know who the boss is. And before you start this crap with Kelsey yelling at him and stuff like that, I thought that was wrong too. I do.
Yeah.
Well, I think they know they can do that kind of stuff with him. I think Kelsey probably went overboard.
He said he's
too much.
He said he should never have done that. Like Kelsey said that. So
all I know is you can throw out bad things about Andy Reid all you want. He's been in a hell of a lot more Super Bowls than almost any coach that's ever coached in pro football.
Yep.
And I'll tell you another thing. He's a hell of a lot better coach than some of you guys that are on here bitching about things. I'll tell you that right now. This guy has been in a Super Bowl and you haven't.
Well, I mean, that goes.
He's a great coach. He's the one that saw the talent in Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Well, I mean, he's not the only one, but he is one. Yes.
He's the main guy.
Yeah.
Remember, Aaron, when they drafted him, everybody's going, what?
Yeah.
What is this guy?
Yeah.
But I thought Mahomes was great, as usual.
Yeah.
But I thought the Kansas City, especially in the first half, when the Chiefs couldn't do anything offensively, and the Niners had a chance to get up 17-3, something to that effect, and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because of Kansas City's defense. Their secondary is good.
They were pretty good in the playoffs. They were really good. I should say in the playoffs they complemented each other so much better than they did in the regular season.
Really good, man.
They kind of played to each other's strengths, talking about offensively and defensively. And
that
was big.
Chris Jones just makes big plays.
Mhm.
The pass rush, how many times did he get in there and throw Purdy off just enough
Mhm.
for an incomplete pass? How many times did they tip a pass?
Mhm.
How many times did McDuffie make a big play? I mean, you look at the Niners, their receivers weren't open. They covered them.
Yeah.
They finally went to Jennings, who was fantastic.
Yes.
Meant they
Yeah.
were doubling somebody else, and Jennings is good enough that he could make plays.
Yeah.
But their defense is great.
Oh, it won it. And when they hired Spags, that was the turnaround. You remember Mahomes' first year, they couldn't stop anybody. I mean, they were helpless. They hired Spagnuolo, and I mean, my goodness, how could you argue the results since? Right?
He is a great coordinator, and I agree with you, Mark. What Kelsey did was over the line. There is no question about that. And some of the things he does, I don't like either. Screaming up there and stuff like that. I think that's pretty immature, but that's kind of what he is.
I don't think Taylor liked that either. She looked embarrassed by that. So
did she?
I thought so.
Well, I thought it was pretty embarrassing, and I think his brother's kind of embarrassing as well. So
yeah, no, I thought it was I thought as I was sitting there watching that, I thought, man, this game sucks. This is horrible. This is like the epitome of what we've watched the whole NFL, aside from a few games here and there. This league has lost it. And then, man, it really turned into a great game.
It was.
And you're right. I mean, the Chiefs defense wins the game, no doubt. I agree. She got the ick. She was trying to hold it in, but she definitely got the ick.
Yeah. Oh, so Jason called Travis out on it during the pod. Okay.
I will say, obviously, I have a job where I'm on the computer a lot. I'm handicapping, working. I put things on in the background to listen to. Their podcast is pretty funny. I'll have to admit. I like them both. They're pretty damn funny on there. So it was good.
I've never really listened to it too much, but
yeah, it's good.
We were talking about, was it me and you or somebody else? They have beaten the Chiefs for their, and I don't want to take anything away from them. What they're doing is remarkable, and there's no end in sight, unless they can't sign some players and things of that nature. They've beaten they got Garoppolo.
Yeah.
So they beat the 49ers twice. They beat them with Garoppolo and Purdy.
Yeah.
Their other win was over Jalen Hurts, who I'm a big fan of, but I wouldn't want to be sitting there with that contract on him that the Eagles signed him to after one stellar year. I'm not too sure he's the best quarterback to make that kind of money.
To be fair, when they played, he was fantastic.
He was in the Super Bowl.
So I don't want to hate on him. I thought
I'm not hating him. I don't know that he's quite elite yet. He has to prove more to me
for sure.
Than have that one great year. I think he's really good, but he kind of regressed a little bit this year. He didn't have quite the year. There's something was going on in Philly. I don't know what happened.
I think what people need to realize, other than Patrick Mahomes, who might just not be human, when an NFL quarterback gets any kind of injury, they're not going to play as well.
That's true.
He was hurt the whole second half of the year.
Yeah.
And people tend to forget that, right?
Yeah. And
we saw it with Mayfield. He never should have played. Mayfield got hurt. He was on his way to getting an extension, all this stuff.
Yeah.
He gets hurt. He has a horrible year. He played through it.
Yeah.
And they shit canned him. I mean, but they get hurt. They don't play quite as well, again, unless it's Patrick Mahomes.
Now, Aaron, you're a good one. You can understand the Mayfield thing. He had a torn labrum which you have right now.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Could you play quarterback with a torn labrum?
No. I think if you were, I'm in my office, my mailbox is probably 8 yards from the office. If you were standing there and I threw, and again, it's not my throwing hand, so I could throw it. I have a feeling all this would just throb right when I threw it.
Yeah.
And I've got like a partial tear in it, and it hurts when any kind of jolt hurts it. Like, thankfully, like I can move it now, but yeah, it hurts. So and again, I'm not really making excuses for anybody right now, but the bottom line is when you are injured and you have to play that position at an elite level, it is very hard to do unless you're Mahomes. Again, it didn't slow him down.
No.
Somehow.
Dennis, we did have Brady versus Mahomes in the Super Bowl at one time.
Yeah, we did. Brady beat him. The only Super Bowl that Mahomes lost, Brady beat him in Tampa. And Brady also beat Mahomes in Kansas City his first year, Mahomes' first year as well, and then went on and won the Super Bowl. So we've seen it twice. Brady did get the best of him twice. And honestly, the Super Bowl game, they absolutely harassed Mahomes in that game. It was more defense that won that for Tampa that year.
A whole lot. Brady didn't.
No.
The Chiefs didn't show up that day.
If you remember, that was the game where Andy Reid's son got drunk and hit somebody.
Yep.
And they died. I mean, they had a lot of distractions.
They did
in that game. And
Shotty brings up a good point. The Niners did have a ton of injuries during that game, which hurt them
a ton. Yeah, I mean, and weird ones.
Yeah, Greenlaw. Tearing his Achilles when he's running out on the field.
I know. It's like, how the hell does that happen?
This thing was fixed. Now that I think about it.
Well, Dr. Christie, going back to him, he was right. It was fixed. It was definitely fixed. Yeah.
Whoever saw a guy just
even though he said it was fixed for the Niners and the Chiefs won, but that's okay.
But who in the world ever saw a guy go out on the field, just running out on the field and tear their Achilles?
I've never seen that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff happens.
Yep.
But the other thing is, I don't want to get into this much, but I feel sorry for the people in Kansas City after what happened there yesterday.
Yes.
That's terrible. Our thoughts are out for them. I've been so busy this morning. I haven't had time to look at the latest news. Is the casualty count gone up or anything?
Not that I've seen.
2, I think.
Yeah, that's the latest report that I've seen. I have not seen anything new on that this morning. That I've seen new stuff, but nothing, no more like detailed information. Yeah, basically shooting happens at Union Station there, Kansas City. That's like at the end of the parade. The parade was over. Then I guess there were 2 shooters. Scary situation. I found out last night that my nephew's fiance, her dad and her stepmom were there.
Oh man.
And they were about 15 feet away from the shooter. So
holy cow.
Yeah, we're very lucky today.
That would be Andrew's
Yep.
fiance?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So there's footage of a fan tackling and detaining one of the shooters. And in that video, you can see her in the footage.
You can see her in the video.
Yes, she's standing right there. So
my goodness.
Crazy stuff. I said on the air, I was on VSiN yesterday. I said, nobody I knew went because I didn't know anybody at the time, but I ended up
Jared might have went if he could.
Yeah. So
didn't he go 1 year? Didn't Jared go 1 year or not?
Yeah, he did go 1 year. He couldn't go this year. And he was saying, cause his, especially his oldest boy, Cohen, is really got into, he's old enough now that he understands and he's gotten into it. So he was going to take him and some came up, they couldn't go. So he was very thankful because I heard a lot of the injuries were children. So
Well, yeah. Weren't they expecting like 1 million people there?
I really don't know.
I thought the mayor said something to that effect.
Yeah.
And how do you stop that from happening? I mean, it could. You can't watch everybody, and
I,
you're
j-
in a crowd like that. I mean,
I don't. That's like the scary thing. There isn't much you can do.
it's. I heard somebody criticizing the police. Well, I don't know. What are you supposed to do?
I don't either.
I mean, you can't. If there's that many, and they're all in just a big mass of people. I saw some pictures of the crowd. It was
Yeah.
just, how could you pick anybody out? And I don't know. I don't know where we're at. If you're at a big time celebration like that and you feel the need that you have to shoot somebody, I just don't know where we're at. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah. And Dennis reached out to me first. I heard it from you first, Dennis. I was working most of the day for the show I was doing, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so, but I had just talked to Jared like 5 minutes ago, so I was like, okay, I know he's not there, and then I didn't really know anybody else was there, and like said, found out. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of where we're at. I mean, these big crowds, you kind of have to just be aware of your surroundings at all times. It still may not help, but you kind of have to be. I mean, that's where we're at, and that's
and it's everything. Mark brings up that golf tournament where those idiots just went, for lack of a better word, just nuts. I mean, this is golf, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Used to, you could go to a golf event. I've been to a couple of big ones, and it's quiet, it's dignified, it's it's everybody's respecting the golfers and to be quiet and you this is just crazy.
It's
Now I have to admit I didn't watch any of that live or know anything about it till I saw some video on it yesterday, I guess. I don't know.
It's
I mean, when you go to a golf tournament, you should know there's things you're not supposed to do at a golf tournament.
well, I mean, they tell you that when you go in.
Yes.
So I don't. My decisions to stay home more and more in my life have been good. So
Well, yeah, but okay. Think, say you're a big time Chiefs fan and you live an hour away and you didn't have to work that day.
Yeah.
And you think, I'm going to go.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't have anything to do. I know my way around Kansas City. I kind of know the route. I know a place where we can park.
Yep.
We got plenty of time. Let's go. Let's enjoy this. This is our team. The last thing you ever think about is somebody's going to shoot somebody. That's something like that.
You're right. Yeah. We stayed at the Mandalay Bay in Vegas. Of course, that's where a shooting happened.
Yeah.
Actually, from the Mandalay Bay over to a concert that was going on kind of across the street.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there enjoying ourselves, having a great time. And it's a great facility. And I don't know, somebody brought it up and it's like, man, it's really just, it's hard to believe something like that can happen, but it really can at any time, anywhere.
I'm serious. I'm getting a little bit paranoid about it now. Not much, because we think we live in an area where that, it's not New York City, it's not Chicago, but it happens everywhere.
It happens here too. Somebody got shot at the mall. Somebody walked into like a dentist office and shot somebody. This is right here in Joplin.
That. Yeah.
This is in Joplin, Missouri. I mean,
you think about it, people, when you walk in a mall, okay, just think of all the entrances. At least around here, there's no metal detectors. You just walk in wherever you want to. At the mall we have in Joplin, what is there, Aaron? 6 or 7 places you can enter the mall?
Yeah. I mean, at least.
You could walk right into the food court. There's a main entrance that goes into the food court at the mall here with an automatic weapon and wipe out 50 people before anybody could get to you.
Yeah.
You just could. And
I mean, it's a mall. There's no security anymore at these malls, hardly.
No.
you know, and
Well,
I,
right.
I mean, it's
Yeah. So I don't like going to a movie theater anymore. I'm kind of I get a little bit not. I don't want to say I'm sitting there worried the whole time.
well, but you do hear of that shit happening at
I
movie
know.
theaters.
Where are you going to go in a movie theater if somebody starts?
I've thought that often. It's like, do you try to run to those exits by the screen? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we still
Rob,
have
we
them all,
still have
sort
them
of.
all fairly.
Sort of. Yeah. It's hanging by a thread is how I would describe it.
There are very few places in the country where malls aren't hurting. Springfield, Missouri is one of them. That mall is unbelievable up there.
Yeah, that mall there is still going strong. The Joplin Mall, not as much.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's trying. It's a very nice mall.
It is very nice, but it's very
nice. And they do a great job. But
Mhm.
stores just aren't in those things anymore.
No.
I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway,
Yep.
we when we go to the OU games, we feel sort of safe. I don't ever think about it because you got to go through a metal detector to get into the game.
Well, let's not forget
That
would have been 2005.
Oh, that's right. No,
Somebody with a bomb tried to enter 2 or 3 times. Now, to the credit of the OU people, they kept him out.
Yep.
But it was probably like the second quarter. They were playing Kansas State. It was 2005.
Yep.
And we heard a big explosion. And we thought, what in the hell? So by the time it was about the fourth quarter, it started circulating. Somebody blew himself up outside the stadium. Yeah. So if that happened today, they would stop the game. I think.
Probably have to. Unless they knew that was the only person, maybe. Probably by the way that went down then, because that's the way we walk into the stadium. I mean, it was right where we walk into the campus and everything.
Yep.
We didn't know anything about it till we were walking out, and we had to divert around that because they had all that blocked off.
Yeah.
Had they announced something had happened, I don't know. It might have caused a panic.
I think it would have. I remember it was a really weird feeling. I remember walking out and not thinking anything of it. And then I kept it was just kind of like, that's kind of a big deal. What just happened, once we've got out of there,
Yeah.
So
maybe they knew it was just the one person thing. And I don't know. That was 20 years ago. So
yeah, it's crazy. Well, let's talk Risen Star before we have to get off of here and do something a little bit more cheerful. Risen Star coming up. We'll get to this now. We've got a field of 12 here for this one. It'll be race 14 on that Saturday. Massive card at Fairgrounds. Unfortunately, pretty sure this one will be ran in the dark at Fairgrounds. Gosh, this is something else. This is a great group. Who do you like in the Risen Star?
Well, I tell you what, I struggle with these races, these early prep races. I do a little bit better, when the Rebel comes around and we've got a little bit more on these horses. Look at the odds. Man, there's no clear-cut favorite at all in this one. I have to go with the 11 track Phantom because 3 straight wins, pretty experienced, speed all over the place for him. Somebody's going to have to go get him. And it could be his stablemate, the 7 Hall of Fame. I think it's going to be interesting to watch this race because they're both trained by Asmussen and see what these 2 horses do. Because the difference between the 2, so far anyway, is the 7's only ran 2 times. So we don't really know, is that 7 going to go or not? How do you know? He's ran 2 times, right?
Yep.
So, I don't know. And the 11, we have a little bit more of a feel for what he's going to do.
Mhm.
So I really like him. I'm with you, Aaron. I like the 4 and the 8 also. I like the 8 a bunch. Love the odds on all these horses.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good betting race to make some money.
Yeah, it
So
is.
I think, do you see anybody other than those 4 that can come out of there and get one of them? Because this could be a massive upset.
I think so too. And I don't think it's just as easy as those 4. It might be the 4 I play, but I'm not confident on this race whatsoever. Curtis says, give me the horse that has already finished ahead of Track Phantom. Resilience. Look, Resilience is 12-1.
Yep.
He's trained by Bill Mott, and Johnny Velasquez is going to ride.
That's a good combination.
There's worse horses to take. The form is not bad on this horse, right? Shoddy owns Real Men Violin.
Yeah.
There's worse horses to take at 8-1. Like this looks like him at peak special to me. I'm a little bit scared of him. Honor Marie at 6-1. This horse makes sense. I mean, been working well. Nice win last time out. We'll see how this horse has progressed. Yeah, I get it. I mean, you can go all over the place.
You can.
I think. Okay, so I'm going to go to this now. Mark says, do you think Asmussen makes sure Santana and Rosario don't get in a pace duel like Carbone and Otto the Conqueror? So that was crazy at Oaklawn.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness, you would think not here, right?
I would think not either.
Don't burn each other out. I mean, that would be crazy.
Do you think they both are the same style?
Yes.
We don't really know on Hall of Fame yet, I don't think.
I am scared that I'm one race early on Hall of Fame, but I'm taking Hall of Fame to win.
Well, here's another thing. We know Asmussen very, very well. Okay, so that horse broke his maiden on the 20th of January, right?
Mm-hmm.
By 10 lengths. And he's dialing that thing right back in here. And he's got Track Phantom in here as well.
Yep.
That tells me he really likes this horse.
Yep. Before his second race, I was talking to the person who owns him in the fantasy league, and he's getting ready to run in that maiden. And I said, boy, I didn't know anything about Hall of Fame other than what I saw in the form. And I was like, man, he looks good to me today. I think he's going to win this by several. And the person goes, he's going to win this one, and he's going to win the next one. I was like, really? He's like, they told me this is the one they're the highest on in that barn. So you hear that shit all the time, and sometimes it's true, and sometimes it doesn't come true. But he ran to kind of what they thought he would in that race. As good as this race is, if he can repeat that performance, I think he can / will win. And I think at 6-1, I think he's going to be more like 4-1, but I still think that's a price that if he wins here, you're not going to get that again on him in the next one. So I may be a race early on Hall of Fame. Maybe he needs this experience. He's going to run better next out, but I got to take him. I just kept watching his replay and it's like, I think he's a little better than the rest of these. I like Track Phantom a lot. I'm going to go against him again on top, but I will play him. I really think Sierra Leone is maybe the best Chad Brown 3-year-old at this time of the year that I've seen. I just worry when you look at the pattern of those Chad Brown runners, their first prep isn't quite as good as that second one. And if you look at like a Good Magic, who was a runner-up in the Kentucky Derby and lost to a freak, or he would have won it. He was not good in his first prep. He was great in his second prep. Zandon, he came here, was not great in the first prep, was really good in his second prep. That's what I'm worried about with Sierra Leone. It could be a race too early to play him as well. I think all roads lead to that Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland again for Sierra Leone, and he'll probably be pretty tough there. I'm just not sure here. And yeah, this is the other thing. Track Phantom, I'm not sure Nash. We thought Nash was really good. I'm not sure he actually is. So he was beating Nash. Now this is a totally different class for him, and it's a big test. That being said, I'm not be shocked at all if Track Phantom wins.
Well, let's analyze, and you know much more than I do. Okay, so Brad Cox with Catching Freedom, who you didn't mention, right?
Yep.
You must not like him very well. Why did he bring him here and not leave him at Oakland?
I thought that was really odd because I think
Yeah,
the
okay,
Rebel is
okay.
going to be a much easier race.
Yes, I
Not
don't
that
get
it's
that.
going to be easy, but I was really confused by it, honestly.
Why didn't he run in the Southwest?
Well, I think it was too quick for him.
Too quick? Okay.
Yeah, he likes to space the races out more,
Okay.
so I understood that.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to it. I asked somebody that would know, and they said, "Ah, this was just the plan all along, was to come
Okay.
here." Again, it's
So you
weird.
got to ask yourself, why didn't he save him for the Rebel?
Yeah.
The Rebel purse. Look at the purse of the Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
It's $1 million, isn't it?
Yep.
And this one's 400K.
Yep.
So there's a reason why this horse is here.
It's strange. It's a strange move. Maybe the distance, this one is a
Could
mile
be.
and an eighth. Maybe that they're thinking that will help,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it was too much time to the Rebel. He thought this horse was ready to go.
I don't think that's the case, but it's possible. Maybe he wanted to get Saez and Saez wouldn't commit to Oakland. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Yeah,
it's all guessing. Yeah.
Trying to figure these guys out.
Yeah.
Because the good ones, the great ones, they have a plan.
And Angel of Empire took the same route, and so maybe we see him, Catching Freedom back in the Arkansas Derby, just like Angel of Empire. Yeah. It's possible for sure. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how he runs. I'm not huge on him here. I was huge on him in the Smarty Jones.
Yeah.
Not so much. It's hard to say. I'm not going to say I'd be surprised if he wins, because I just wouldn't be, but I don't know. I think he's going to have to run much better this time than he did last time.
Well, I think he will. Yeah, he's running against better company. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think Track Phantom will go off? 5-2?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe even 3-1.
Do you think he will be the favorite?
I think he will be.
Because he's won 2 races at Fairgrounds. Don't you think that'll propel him to be the favorite?
Yeah, I think he's the favorite. I will say that Sierra Leone, everybody loves him. So I wouldn't be shocked if he goes out the favorite, but I do think it is Track Phantom that's actually going to be favored in the race. Yeah. Curtis brings up, you don't have to run against Baffert in New Orleans. That could be. Muth is pointing for that race.
Good point. Yeah.
Cox also has kind of said he's going to have Timberlake for that race. Maybe he felt the distance there for Timberlake would be good, and the distance here would be good for Catching Freedom. There's things there. So
very good point. Baffert's not there. Yeah.
Yep. So Muth has looked pretty good coming out of that first race back as a 3-year-old. I think he'll probably be a pretty heavy favorite next week. If he's taking on Timberlake and Just Steel, Muth's going to get a ton of money. He's going to be like 3-5. I don't know. Maybe there'll be something else in there. You'd think Asmussen would have something in there, but maybe.
Yeah. We've been talking about that. Who's he going to send up to? Didn't we think he would send Hall of Fame up there? Didn't we think that? Didn't we talk about that?
Yes. We thought that was going to be definitely the landing point for this horse. And, we talked about it. And then a day later, an article came out in the Daily Racing Form. I believe Marcus Hirsch wrote the article, and they said, no, we're going to put both of them in the Risen Star. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't understand that, but maybe I will Saturday. I don't know. But
it's really surprising to me because he's always got a really good horse in the Rebel. He's, I don't know. It's a strange one to me.
No, it definitely is. Shoddy's saying Imperial Gun. He's going to have to get a lot faster if he's going to be a serious threat. We'll see though. Yeah. Silver Charm said Sierra Leone hung in his last. He will not, or will he like that long stretch at Fairgrounds? Probably not. Is my answer to that. I don't. I feel like he's a nice horse. That this is kind of just the first step in the process for him. Yeah. That's kind of my thing. And I only say that because we kind of now have seen the Chad Brown pattern on what to do, or what he likes to do, I should say. If he's got a horse that he thinks is kind of average to above average, he saves him for the Preakness. He doesn't even worry about the Derby. And if he's got a Derby horse, we've kind of seen the progression that he likes to take to get him to fire those big races on the big day. And he's had success doing it. So that's why I'm like, I think Sierra Leone is very good. I don't know if he'll win this race. So
Am I crazy for saying I don't really like Chad Brown in New Orleans?
No, I think
I like him better like at Gulfstream or in New York.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think it's very interesting that he uses this track for the 3-year-old preps. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think you don't like him here because he doesn't have any success here. He runs very few horses.
Yeah.
They're usually prepping for something else,
Yeah, I never really liked him other than in Florida or New York.
Yeah, New York. And Keeneland. I'll take him at Keeneland as well. Yeah. No,
that's strange.
I can't argue what you just said at all. No, no. All right. Well, final pick. You're going to go track Phantom.
You bet. But right. I'm scared of that 7. He could beat me.
Good thing, because I'm picking the 7. So we're going to go both Asmusens here. He's won 2 legs of this thing so far down at Fairgrounds with track Phantom. Wouldn't be shocked if he makes it 3. I'm going to take a little bit of the up-and-comer in Hall of Fame. So, all right, those are the picks. For more coverage on this, Blinkers Off will come up at noon, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about that. All right, we got to go because we got another show in 7 minutes, but do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I've got to go to the bathroom, get ready for this next one. You better do that too.
I know.
Wait a minute. You got about a 30-minute break before you do the noon.
Yeah, I'll be fine. So Dennis brings up a point, and I've heard this a ton, and I think it's true. He says, "Yeah, but I don't think the dirt at Gulfstream mimics Churchill where Fairgrounds does." I think that's accurate. Okay. However, it doesn't seem to bother a lot of those South Florida horses. We've seen a lot of them win the Kentucky Derby, including last year with Mage. I get the idea of it, but in theory, that should really matter. It just doesn't seem like it does. And it's weird. Yeah. It's kind of like how, in theory, the home team should win a ton of games in the NHL because they have last change. They get the total matchups they want all the time. It never works out like that. It's one of the sports where home and road don't really matter, but it really should. Yeah. That should really matter, what Dennis is talking about, but it just hasn't all that often. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, because we have seen horses, especially lately, run very well from Fairgrounds to Churchill, but it seems like wherever they come from, if they're good enough, they run well at Churchill. It's weird. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here for now, but just stay tuned. We'll be back in 6 minutes for Dudes Who Bet Daily. We got a good show for you today as we kick off another week of that. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this one. Like I said, we'll see you back here in just a few minutes.
This is Dudes Who Bet Sports.